swaps became important to teams who want to avoid either early jungle matchup or bad bot lane matchup or bad top lane matchup. So it was just kind of an evolution in strategy where before you had to pick these strong lanes because there was no way to avoid them. But as the games developed, people realized there's actually a way to kind of get around picking things for lane. And that's kind of why lane swaps are more prominent, is now you can still win the pick and ban phase without, a strong early game. If I could change one main aspect of the game, it would be the randomness of the dragons. I think having a system that would either show the very first dragon or would show like the preset of first 3 or 4 dragons spawning. This would kind of guide at least the pick ban phase, or it would guide the early game on how you'd want to play. At the moment, it's kind of up to chance whether you want to start focusing it. By the time you take dragon, you kind of have to watch to see what the next one is before you make a choice, and I think it'd be a lot better if you could make that choice as you were taking dragon or as you wanted to do your pick ban phase and pick around that. I would say the hardest part to coach in the game is definitely early game during the laning phase, because obviously this is going to be a lot of individual mechanics and really small mechanics that only apply to early game, such as like top lane laning. That's not really going to help you anywhere else in the game. So knowing how certain matchups work is really shallow information that won't really be applied to anything else. So learning it is really hard. You pretty much have to learn it from a first person basis, otherwise you're just taking opinions. You can't really theory craft early game as well as you can theory craft late game. And then there's a lot of kind of RNG in the early game, depending on how the enemy jungler wants to path, because it is still a choice where the enemy jungler goes. So you can only predict so much before the enemy jungler wants to change it up. Early game just has too many variables that are hard to study from an outside perspective, and you really need an inside look on the game to learn a lot of the early game mechanics. I think if I went back in time and was able to coach all the old teams, it'd be really, really simple. You'd be either able to win through just playing lane swaps better, or you'd be able to win through setting out map vision better. That's also an aspect of the game that's been slowly improving, and it's actually really hard to tell if you don't look at previous games. So I think just the fact that vision control has become so much more complex and lane swaps have become more complex, you could basically win against any team, regardless of your team's skill, just because you have this kind of strategy.